Today, I want to talk about something that I think most aquarists overlook when it comes to caring for their tank. Hopefully, we're all doing regular water testing, and of course, our tanks need regular top offs, and at times they need water changes. And I'm sure most of us know to dechlorinate our tap water with Prime, but do we know when is the right time to use tap water and when should we use RO water? RO water is called reverse osmosis water, and it's just a high quality filtration system that allows you to put more water into your tank without adding additional TDS. Your local fish store should have RO water available for you, but if they don't, and you don't happen to have one installed in your home, you can use distilled water. Now, I don't have an example of a bottle from a store, but Arrowhead, all these other Purina places have distilled water. You can either buy it from them, like at the grocery store, or you can get one of these refillable bottles here, go to a water station, and get distilled water there. Also, you don't have to have one of these machines. This is just one that we have in our home. Now, I'm sure your next question is, Eden, how do I know what the TDS is in my water? Get a TDS meter. Let's show you how it works. They're super affordable. I got this brand off of Amazon. I believe it was 2 meters for $10, and it even came with batteries. Okay, so it's a little tab here on the top, and you just pull it open to expose this. And oh, wow, looks like they already have 2 batteries in here, and these are just extra. That's amazing. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove the plastic piece that was in between the 2 batteries and just slide it back in. Wow, I'm really impressed. Powering right up. Now to test, you'll first need to go to your tap. I always like to let it run for a second so the water's not stuck in the pipes, just so you can get an accurate reading. Then go ahead, collect yourself some water, and walk it back over. All right, so I've taken off the cap. Here's the meter here. And the directions say just to go ahead and dump it in the water. So let's see what we've got. All right, gonna give it a little bit of a second here. Well, it looks like it's a strong reading at 176. Now in the instructions here, it does have a bit of a guide, but it also has a QR code here where you can learn more information about TDS. Now, as reference, fish normally need a TDS of between 100 and 300 in their tank. Now, this is going to vary depending on the type of fish you have. Cichlids can handle a bit more of a hard water, up to about 400, while fish like discus are fairly sensitive and need to be in the 100 range. All right, now I'm gonna head out into my garage where I have my RO water machine. I was lucky enough, my man's pretty handy. He installed this for me. And this is the meter reader. Sorry, the lighting out here is pretty dark. This is the handle for it and the meter reader. I'm gonna go ahead, just insert it into my jar and turn it on. I'm gonna try to do this one-handed without spilling. So when you turn it on, you'll see it'll read the TDS there. It's showing right now that it's going at 0. Let's test that and make sure it's right with our new TDS meter. And in case you're wondering, this is my Daphnia culture setup out here. Now, normally that meter never reads at 0. It normally reads about 9 or 8. So let's test. Ooh. I think it's time for my man to recalibrate that machine. So as a little experiment, let's go test all the TDS in my tanks. These 2 need water top-offs, so I guess this TDS meter reading will determine whether or not I use tap or RO water. Got our meter on, and for reference, this is my oldest tank. We are at 196. So I don't often do water changes on this tank, and I normally do just top-offs. My fish is like, what the heck was that? And when I do water top-offs, I use RO water. So that's probably why my TDS has stayed pretty low. All right, now let's clear the field and test my snail breeding tank. Oh, we are at 247 on this tank. Now these snails are, they're okay. 247 is still a good reading. We're under 300. This is my third oldest tank, or second, technically, because I made the other two at the same time. Let's test this water. Oh, we're at 216. Okay. This is my fourth oldest tank. We're at 182. And my fifth oldest tank, we're at 95. My sixth oldest tank, we are at 178. And then this tank I literally made 2 days ago. And let's see what this is. I did use just straight up tap water, and we're at 178, which I think is what my tap water was at earlier, so that makes sense. All right, I was just informed by my man that you have to let it run for 60 seconds for the TDS to go all the way down, because I guess like the water like sits where the filters are. So it's still reading at 0, which is weird, but I'll go ahead and fill up these 2 bottles and then show you guys what the TDS is at from the last bottle. Okay, now it's reading normal. This is kind of like a normal reading from it. Okay, now let's test. I think this was the first bottle. Yeah, that one's 41. And let's try the second bottle. That one's 11, which is exactly what the reading was. So that makes sense. Now I'd like to run a quick experiment. This tank obviously needs a bit of a top off and a cleanup, so we'll go ahead and do that and test the TDS water before and after I put the RO water in. All right, so the before test is 234. All right, I'm just gonna clean this up just a bit, taking out some. Now I'm just gonna hit the sides with my toothbrush. Not much, but a bit, a bit of algae on the front. Now I still do prime the water even though it's RO water. Better safe than sorry, I always say. And then I use these plants, there's multiple of them, old plant containers, to diffuse the water when I pour it into the tank. I do have a pump water setup to help with water changes on my fish rack, and I can show you guys that in another video. Alright, as you can see, the water line is higher. I don't like to fill it all the way to the top. I do have a Nereid snail in here and 2 African dwarf frogs, so I just don't like to fill it too high in case anybody gets brave and wants to jump out. So let's go ahead, test our TDS. Wow, it's actually gone down. So we are at 223. I believe it was at 234. Well, I'll check the feedback and put the number on the screen. Now the other tank was 10 gallons. This one here, I believe, is almost 2 gallons. And just to run another experiment, seeing how the TDS will differ. So this is a 257 TDS. And we'll go ahead and just top off the water with the RO. Oops, spilling over the back. Gonna have to clean that up. I like to fill this one pretty all the way to the top because it does evaporate quickly. All right, and we'll go ahead and retest. Oops, I'm gonna try to get it so you guys can see it. Retest. 216, 209. Interesting. All right, took it down. All right, so thank you so much for sticking with me through this video and doing these experiments. I thought they were fun. And do your fish a favor. Go ahead, get yourself a TDS meter. And I think the moral of the story here is that if your TDS is a little high, do your water changes and your water top-offs with RO water. All right, have a great day. And again, thanks for watching, guys.